Hey, Brendan here. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for tuning in. Have another 2025 rookie scouting report show for you today. Going to be joined again by Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co-host, and we are going to talk about Mr. Tyler Warren. We've watched the All-22 film. We're going to break it all down. He's probably tight end 1 or 2 for most people in the class, most likely a first-round pick as it seems right now. We're going to break it all down. We're going to go over his production, his PFF grades, his strengths, weaknesses, his scouting report card grades. Good player. We're going to have fun talking about him. So hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 17,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. Help me get there. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe button. All right. If you want access to those all 22 films we talk about in here, check out the website below. Let's get to the show. All right, Jason, let's get into our 2025 rookie report. Let's get into the first one now. We're going to talk about Mr. Tyler Warren. We just did a film breakdown, watched his all-22 film versus Boise State and Maryland. Watched his Minnesota game as well as his Purdue game. Came away certainly impressed. He's obviously the tight end 1-2 for most people out there. He's got good size, 6'6", 257 pounds. We're going to talk about his 2024 production and his PFF grades here. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it here on the chart. He had over 1,000 yards receiving. These are just regular season statistics as well. It does not include playoffs or bowl games. He had 6 TDs on the 2024 season. His catch percentage is solid 80%. I think we saw that clearly on the film. The guy really, the way he attacks the ball, and looks like he's got some big mitts. That's not really an issue. 13.4 yards per reception. Versatility, right? We love seeing that in our tight ends. In line, he was 35%, slot 47%, out wide 18%. We saw all of that on the film when we watched it. So these grades here from PFF, if you're looking at the ranks here, they're based on the top 12 tight ends headed to the 2025 NFL draft. All right, so this is how he ranked in the class. Came in second in the PFF receiving grade at 93.1, which is certainly solid. Contested catch, which we saw, I think, 3 or 4 of those on the film, him fighting for that ball. 66.7, he came in third. Yards after catch per reception, 7th. So 7 yards after catch on average per reception. He came in 5th. Drop percentage, 1.2%, came in first in the class with those big hands, right? So he's got those strong hands, doesn't really drop the ball. PFF pass blocking grade, 66.7, came in 8th for the class. I think overall he was a pretty solid blocker. Given what we watched on the film. So why don't you give us an overview of his scouting report? Like I said, we watched those 4 all-22 films, got a really good feel for him. We've been watching them for the last 2 years, right? So we know this player pretty much inside now. What did you see on the film?
Yeah, just keep this short and sweet because honestly, there's just a lot of positive to go with this. But I mean, right off the snap, you see the instant acceleration for a guy of his size, 6'6", 257. It's pretty impressive. If he's in that slot position or out wide, he's eating into the cushion really quickly into the defender. Something that we noticed on film, and it really stood out, is when it's zone coverage and there's 2 defenders, he can split the seam between those 2 defenders to the point where he knows that he comes so close to the defender that they can't really even make a move to try to contort themselves to catch up to him. And he knows exactly where to find the soft and sweet spot in zone coverage, be available for his quarterback, catches outside of his frame beautifully. You could see the hands are framing to the ball. So that 1.2% and being first in the class with the drop rate is absolutely evident with his gameplay. The ball skills are phenomenal. Catches outside of his frame in contested situations, not scared of contact whatsoever, can play all around the line, chip blocks off the line as a blocker, and just immediately just gets into position, whether it's going to be, separating on an in or out route, the separation at the top of route, he hand fights, and he does have fluid agility to separate. So he can separate pretty much with ease. I think the only thing I have concerns about is that vertical speed and being a vertical stretch type of tight end. I think if he is going to be that vertical stretch type guy, it's going to be in the middle of zone coverage. So post and corner patterns, man, this kid's going to be deadly all day long in the center field. Hopefully there's some big safeties back there, or else he's not going to be stopped. He's a very high functional strength, competitive player with great football IQ, and from what I've read, off the charts character off the field as well. So he's honestly the type of tight end that every team is going to want to try to draft.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's, right now projected to be a top 15 pick in the draft, right? So
Hmm.
there wasn't
Yeah.
much not to like really with his film. I mean, that
No.
versatility you talked about, good route tree. We saw the in-breaking routes, out routes, the seam
Yeah.
routes that you said looked great. So the physicality is just fantastic. We saw those
Yeah.
that the finish that he has on some of those plays. He was looking to punish those smaller defensive backs. It
Here
was
comes the
great.
boom. That's
Yeah,
the
here
only thing
comes
I
the
kept
boom.
thinking.
But his hands are solid as a rock, and his yards after
Yeah.
catch, I think, is admirable in that game against,
I do too. Yeah.
the Maryland game. He did that rambling down the left sideline where he showed the little athleticism. He jumped
Yep.
over somebody, stayed in bounds, made a cut, ran inside. So he's really looking for the yards after catch. So certainly
Yeah.
impressive. I think the big question mark with him is going to be just how athletic is he to
Hmm.
be a phenomenal route runner. I mean, he did create space in the films that we watched. I get it, but the NFL is a whole different competition. So I think he's going to have to
Correct.
win a little bit more on physicality than I think with the twitchiness and the route running. But his change of direction skills is pretty, pretty good. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's much not to like with Tyler Warren. So let's get into our scouting report card grades,
Hmm.
release and route running. I gave him an A. Like I said, we just saw the route tree all over the place. He's lined up all over the field. The
Yeah.
versatility is fantastic. His route running looks really good, and as you talked about, off these chip blocks, really has a quick release and can really eat into the cushion of the secondary relatively quickly. So I gave him an A. What'd you give him?
Yeah, I give him a B plus. I think my only question is I didn't see him a lot against press, and if he's out wide, I don't know what that's going to look like. So I give him a B plus to 7A.
Okay, ball skills and hands, got to give him an A. I mean, he comes in
Easy A.
first, first in the class with the hands,
Yeah.
with the drop percentage, and just made some fantastic catches on those 4 films that we watched. It was really good. So gave him a
Yeah.
solid A.
Yeah, I gave him a solid A too. That was the easy one for me.
Yeah, acceleration and speed, I gave him a B.
Mhm.
I think you mentioned long speed, and I don't know if people. I don't really care about the long speed for a tight
Nah.
end, right? We want this guy to win in the first 15, 20 yards of the field. And so his burst and acceleration and his, short area quickness to me is what I think is going to make or break him. But I gave him a B. I mean, I think he's good, but I don't know if he's elite at creating space. So I'm going to give him a B grade for acceleration and speed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I give him a B plus. Just that acceleration is really impressive for a guy of his size.
Yeah, it is. So what yards after catch? I gave him a B plus. I mean, the guy with the ball in his hands in the second level, like his vision, like his ability to change directions at a higher speed, and then of course the way he finishes just melts my heart with his physicality. He just freaking tears into people.
Yes, he does.
So yards after catch, I gave him a solid B plus.
Yeah, I gave him an A on this one. I mean, this is
Great.
not going to be your yards after catch with elite speed. This is going to be your yards after the catch with the high football IQ, knowing the pursuit angles, exploiting them, and getting through zone coverage and getting additional yards that way.
So blocking and physicality, I gave him a B plus. He's not the elite blocker that we want, but I think that's a technique that can be taught and with more experience with an NFL coaching, staff and stuff like that. So, but I think he holds up well. I mean, the physicality is off the charts, obviously, but his blocking grade was okay. It was, on the bottom half of the class, but we saw what I saw. I thought he gave a really good effort and seemed to have pretty good technique.
Yeah, I give him a solid B, and I think he's a solid blocker.
So he's probably a top 15, pick in the draft, you think? Still?
I have to think. I mean, it wouldn't even shock me if he was top 10 if he lands with the right team.
Really? God
Knows
damn
how
it.
to, well, that versatility, man, it's so coveted now.
Yeah.
To find a guy who can line up all over the offensive line, and the character is something I even heard about when I was at the Senior Bowl. I mean, I think an NFL team's going to fall in love with a guy like Tyler Warren.
That'd be great. Shame you can't make it to my Eagles all the way at the bottom, but what are you
never
gonna
know,
do?
man. You never know.
So that's right. If they take Elijah Rory, I'll just be just as happy if that guy can stay healthy. I think he's going to be a good player too.
He's incredible.
All right, there you guys got our rookie report on Mr. Tyler Warren.